Welcome to the Resilient Artist Podcast, your go-to space for wellness and success strategies tailored for musicians. Join us each week as we explore tips, tools, and stories to help you thrive in your music career while staying balanced and inspired. Let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the Artist Wellness Collective podcast, where we explore the intersection of creativity and well-being. I'm your co-host, Rachel.
And I'm Crystal. Today we're diving into the topic of balancing health and productivity for musicians on the grind.
It's no secret that pursuing a career in music industry can be very demanding, both physically and mentally.
That's right, but it's very important for musicians to prioritize their well-being in order to sustain their creativity and productivity in the long run. Musicians often face irregular schedules, long hours, and high levels of stress, which can take a toll on your physical and mental health.
That's right. Prioritizing health and well-being isn't just about feeling good. It's also essential for maintaining your creativity, your productivity as an artist, and of course, your longevity in the industry. Because if you burn out and you can't physically perform or mentally perform anymore, you're not going to have much of a career. So let's talk about some strategies for physical health. Now, this is, of course, one of my favorite topics, as I've been in nutrition and fitness for many, many years, just as Crystal has. So one strategy is to focus on nutrition. This is my favorite subject, as it's been an area of my kind of expertise for the last 20 some years, just like it has been for Crystal. But eating a balanced diet that supports energy levels and overall health. So you might be thinking, well, what does that mean? Because nutrition is a really hot topic and actually in some cases can be very controversial. Everybody has their own opinions, their thoughts on what works and what doesn't. And before we kind of get into some of the details, I think of what we think a person could do is I always like to say to people, keep it, like, go back to the basics, keep it really basics. If you're eating real food, you're probably doing okay. But if you're eating processed foods and junk foods a lot of the times, if that's the majority of your diet, then there's probably some improvements that need to be made there. Real food gives you energy. Processed junk food doesn't. Right, Crystal?
100%. 100%. And I am very much an intuitive eater. So I kind of follow, how's this going to make me feel? Is this something I want now? Or is this going to make me feel gross in the future? So it's something I always kind of think about before I eat is I think if I eat a burger and fries and I have to go on stage in half an hour, how am I going to feel? Probably not great. For my body. I mean, I don't know, maybe someone at burgers and fries gives you energy. I don't know, but typically burgers and fries don't give you energy. They tie you down. They make you a little bit more tired. So really focus raw foods or real foods is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Real foods. I mean, even raw foods that you said there. I mean, I think as close we can to nature and eat as close to nature as we can. And again, that's going to be a whole other topic, I think, for another podcast where we can really dive into the details. But, things like lots of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats, these are all things that you can use just to keep yourself nutritionally fed, lots of energy. And again, there's so much with nutrition and so many different avenues you can take. But I think, like Crystal said, eating intuitively and almost, I always like to think of myself as my own experiment, really. Try something, and if it doesn't work, then not to do it next time. And if you try something else, to do it next time. I love listening to artists, really big time artists, and talking about what they do. And I'll just use an example right now because I was listening to their podcast the other day. But Metallica, they're on this big world tour. They're off right now, but they have a personal chef who is making them the best food to nutritionally support them as athletes, because essentially when you're performing that hard on a stage, you are an athlete at that point. I'd say especially the drummer. So they need to be fed in a way that's supporting that longevity and that body so that they can be on that stage as often as they are. And I really love hearing that here's guys in their late 50s, early 60s, still rocking it, but really understanding that, hey, they might be rock stars, but they need to fuel their body in a way that's going to support them in their career.
Totally. And if you do that when you first start out in your career, it's become a habit and it's easy. It's easy. So it's a really good tool. Some other things that are great is to stay hydrated, get enough sleep, incorporate regular exercise. Those are all great tools to incorporate into your physical well-being world.
That's right. And I get a lot of questions as a health coach, and you probably do too, Crystal, about how much water should I drink? Well,
Yeah, that
right. The rule of thumb is take your body weight in pounds, divide it by two, and that's how many ounces you need. So it does end up working out for the average person. I like to think in liters. I like to think that the average person is about 2 liters a day. If you're more active, you need more, right? If you're not as active or you're eating lots of raw, kind of watery foods, you might not need to drink as much. But staying hydrated, especially as, again, Crystal, you can speak to this a little bit more, but as a singer, right? How important is staying hydrated?
totally. And it's not just, guzzling a bunch of water before you even go on stage. It's consistency throughout the day. That's what's going to lead to a well-hydrated voice. A lot of times we think, oh, I need to drink my water. I'm going on stage, but it's the water that you drank 12 hours ago that's going to impact the way you feel when you're on stage. If you haven't drank water all day and then you go drink water on right before you go on stage thinking that's going to save you, it's probably not. And you're going to have a dry, tired voice.
That's right. And getting enough sleep, like you mentioned before, it's so important, right? If you think about how you feel when you don't get enough sleep, maybe baby has kept you up all night and now you're exhausted, is your energy and how you want to show up on stage, is it where you really feel you could be?
Totally. I'm probably not the best example for sleep right now. And in context, I have a 9-month-old and she's still up all night, all night. But that's okay. I find ways that I can recover and recharge and fuel my body. So even though I'm not getting a straight 8 hour sleep in the evenings, I make sure that have a nap when she's having a nap, instead of running around trying to do everything, and really learning how to slow down and really making sure I'm eating healthy, I'm drinking enough water, all the other things, exercising, meditating to make sure that I'm showing up as best as I can every single day.
That's right. It's that self care, right? Making sure that you, even though you do have other commitments, everybody has commitments, but still making sure you're taking care of yourself, getting those little bits of exercise in through your day is just going to make sure that you are taking better care of yourself physically for sure.
Totally. Totally. And then let's talk a little bit about mental health because that's a huge part of everything as well, and showing up for yourself as your best version. And as a musician, we often face mental health challenges as such as performance anxiety, creative blocks, and feelings of isolation. Being creative sometimes can be a very isolating space to be in. And even just being in the music industry can feel very isolating. It's not your standard career choice. It's you have to love it to thrive in it, to be in it. And it can be quite lonely and sometimes competitive, and that's when it feels lonely. And I'm all about community over competition, but it's still a real thing, I think, out there. I mean, we're all kind of working towards getting the same thing. And so it can feel a little bit comparison is a really great word choice, I think, for how a lot of musicians feel, especially on Instagram. You're scrolling through and you're seeing, oh, this person got that, this person's doing this. Why am I not doing this? Why didn't I do think of that? Oh my gosh, I should have done this weeks ago. Oh my gosh, they're doing so much better than me. I'm a loser. I'm a failure. Why am I even in this music industry? Right? It's that spiral. So it's real and we've all felt it. And if you're a musician out there listening, telling me and thinking, I've never felt that, well, then you're lying because you have. I mean, I think it's something, it's very, very real and it's human, right?
Right. And I mean, I think social media is such a wonderful space. It's a great tool that we can use, especially artists nowadays that can build their careers using that tool. But you're absolutely right. It can also become a space of comparison and it can take a real toll on a person's mental health. And I think it's important to remember that, everybody's only putting the best of the best on social media too, that, there's no sense comparing you having a crappy day today to somebody's great day, or just remember that sometimes the smile that people put on publicly doesn't reflect how they're actually feeling. So, rather than comparing with others, just prioritize yourself. Prioritize the self care activities, meditation, mindfulness, getting that support system together, and making sure that you are taking care of your mental well being for sure is key. When we talk about, setting boundaries, and we've spoken about this before in other areas, that's also part of mental health and taking care of yourself and self care. And one of the biggest challenges for musicians, I think, is finding a balance between work and personal life. What do you think about that, Crystal?
Yes, huge. So setting a boundary between work hours and personal hours, social commitments, screen time, make sure you have limitations on certain things to prevent burnout. I think it's really easy as a creative entrepreneur to bring your work into your personal life. You want to share what you're doing, and it can kind of flow through every aspect of your day, but it really needs to have kind of a time gap where this is when I'm focused so that this chunk of time I can focus on relaxing or spending time with my family and loved ones, friends, whatever that looks like. Um, it's super important. Otherwise, everything bleeds together and you get burnt out. It just happens too quickly and too easily. So really setting time blocks for certain things I think is really important.
Well, and that's where time management techniques come in too, right?
Totally. Having effective time management is crucial for musicians juggling multiple projects and commitments. So I love using management tools where I can break down all the tasks that need to be done, assign them to certain team members, or even if I'm the only person working on something, assign when am I going to work on each task so that I'm not overwhelmed and overstimulated.
That's right. That'll also help with that mental health and reducing stress. And I love to talk about, just like you, Krista, I'm all about collaboration and connection. I just think we need to get rid of the term competition because I don't feel that there is competition. I think there's more than enough for everyone to go around. If we're kind of everybody locks arms and lifts each other up, I think that is so important. So surrounding yourself with supportive friends, family, colleagues, this can also give you some, real invaluable emotional support and encouragement that is, going to help you on those days where you're feeling more stressed or you're feeling down about yourself. And, I've talked to many musicians who are like, we just thought we would just give up and throw our hands up because it felt, a very alone, very discouraging. But like Crystal said before, that, you just got to keep going and find that strong support network. Right, Crystal?
Yes, 100%. Building a strong network is so crucial to success just in general. It doesn't matter what you do. Having people around you that support you, that lift you up, that reignite your fire. Because when you're always on your own working on something, again, it can be very lonely. And then with that loneliness can just come stagnation. And when you have conversations with people, it lights the fire up again within you and reminds you that you are amazing and you can do anything. And sometimes it's hard for us to look in the mirror and tell ourselves that, but we have that support system around us to remind us of those amazing things that make us who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we can go on and on about all of these topics, and we will in our future episodes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Artist Wellness Collective podcast. We can't wait to share more stories, tips, and tools about artist creativity, business, and mindset.
And remember, everyone, prioritizing your well being isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for sustaining a successful and fulfilling career in the music industry.
Thanks for tuning in to the Resilient Artist Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, like, and share this podcast with your fellow musicians. Your support helps us grow and reach more artists just like you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Ready to take your wellness journey to the next level? Join the Artist Wellness Collective at www.artistwellnesscollective.com for more resources, community, and support designed to help musicians thrive. Until next time, keep creating and living your best artistic life.